Knives with metal handles. Let's talk about it. This is going to be another one of these little open discussion videos. If you're not familiar, I do knife reviews, flashlight videos, gun reviews, coming soon, etc. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see any more of those. But for now, this is going to be another yay or nay video. I would like you in the comments to tell me what you think of metal-handled knives. Some of these here are aluminum, some are stainless steel. These are pretty much all of the all-metal-handled knives in my collection, for the most part anyway. What do you think about them? I'm not a huge fan of metal knives, personally, and I'll give you probably 3 main reasons as to why that is. Let's pick up this Cold Steel Code 4 right here. One of my favorite knives, actually. It's really cool, despite being a metal-handled knife. There's something elegant about metal handles. They feel like they're really high quality. They make the knife seem higher quality than it really is. This is just aluminum. It's a nice, grade aluminum. It's nicely executed. But at the end of the day, it's still aluminum. There's nothing really that fancy or that awesome about it. It's kind of just a cheap metal to work with, you know. I love this knife. It's very elegant and slick and very sleek, and I like these things about it. But what do I not like about metal handles? And what are the things I believe most of the knife community also does not like about metal handles? Well, the big one is weight. Metal handles tend to be, whether it's titanium or stainless steel, aluminum's somewhat of an exception, but they tend to just be heavy. They're heavier than the synthetic handles, the FRN, the G10, etc. Another thing is how slick they are. I just mentioned how this sniper here is sleek. Speaking of sleek, this one's really, really sleek. CRKT Buku, beautiful knife. But it's slick. Aside from being, this is a stainless steel knife, by the way, heavy for its size, and it is not temperature resistant. In fact, it's a conductor of temperature, so if it's hot in the summer, the metal handle is going to get hot. If it's cold in the winter, the handle is going to get cold. Or maybe it's cold in the summer. If it's cold in the summer, it doesn't really matter what the season is. If it's cold, it's going to get cold. If it's hot, it's going to get hot. Not so much for heat. For heat, it has to be directly in sunlight to get hot. But if it's cold outside, even if it's not directly like in the cold, even if it's in your pocket, the knife is still going to get cold if you are cold. If the ambient temperature is cold, this is going to get cold too. Heat's kind of different. It has to directly be in sunlight. But that being said, this goes back to it being slick. If it's slick and it's hot outside and your palm starts sweating, ooh, you might just slip. It may fall out of your hands. You might cut yourself. That's happened to me before, honestly, which is one of the reasons I'm somewhat turned off by metal handles. Now, it's all in context. Depends on the knife. I have these knives for a reason. If I absolutely was totally against metal handles, I would have never bought these. But I bought all these knives. I liked them. Well, I was gifted this one by a friend, but it was on my wish list. So this is also an aluminum handle. Textured, but it doesn't do crap because it's metal. Doesn't really matter how much you texture a metal handle. At the end of the day, it's still metal. It won't make it less slick. Well, technically, it's less slick, I suppose, than doing nothing at all, but it's not a viable option when it comes to grip if you're trying to get something that actually is grippy. Beautiful knife, by the way, CRKT Outrage. Now, there is one advantage to the metal handles, the big one being strength. I think this is an aluminum handle scale on a stainless steel frame lock, by the way. Gerber flat iron. Love this knife. Really cool. Yeah, stainless steel. The metal handles are going to be stronger than your synthetic handles. They're going to be stronger than FRN. They're going to be stronger than G10. Doesn't matter how strong the synthetic handle is. It's not going to compete with the metal. Generally speaking, metal handles are stronger than synthetic handles. That's just kind of how it is. So you do have that advantage right there. That is an objectively good thing about them. A subjectively good thing about the metal handles when it comes to opinion, I think they're nice looking, they're sexy, they're sweet. You know, they feel and look like they are high quality. Now again, that is subjective. You may have a knife with a synthetic handle be like, oh, no way, that's way more high quality looking than that metal handled knife. To each their own. I think the metal handles have something kind of classy about them. Again, going back to this Cold Steel Code 4, fancy blade steel on here, but it's similar to the shape of the Cold Steel Recon 1 and a lot of the other Cold Steels. They have all happen to have a lot of similar shapes on some lines of their knives. But this one specifically is my classy one. Again, heavier, less temperature resistant, it's a conductor of temperature, and it's more slick. Those are the 3 big problems I have with the metal handles, and that's why I don't typically go out of my way to go get them. Weight is not really like a huge issue for me, honestly, but objectively speaking, if you want a knife to not be heavy, then you're going to want to avoid the metal handles. This is one of my favorite knives, by the way, the Foresight. It's by CRKT. Metal handle, it's aluminum. thick all aluminum chunks in there. Also has some stainless steel liners in there just to help it out just a little bit. Super comfortable. Now this one is kind of an exception. It's not very grippy, but because of the cutouts in the handle, because of its overall shape, I can really lock in there anyway. So it's somewhat of an exception. You kind of have to be more creative when it comes to metal handles if you want them to be as grippy as possible. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on the metal handled folders? Do you ever go out of your way to get them? Here's another disadvantage. Typically, they're going to be a little bit more expensive than synthetic handles as well. Objectively, when it comes to functionality, we have technology that is better than metal when it comes to the handles for knives. When it comes to the blades themselves, metal's way better than a synthetic. I would much rather have a metal blade. Absolutely. But when it comes to the handle, I can think of some other materials I would prefer. Again, if I'm going for something subjectively kind of cool, kind of neat, kind of fancy, sure, these knives in particular, for the most part, I think the metal handles fit them very well for what they are trying to be, but that's kind of subjective. Objectively, the only advantage I can think of when it comes to metal handles is strength, but on top of strength, does it matter? There's knives out there with G10 handles, and people have pried and twisted with them, and the blade snapped before the handle snapped anyway, which to me means any strength above that is just flat out redundant. So what are your thoughts? Do you like metal handles? Can you think of any advantage they have other than perhaps, I don't know, maybe being an impact weapon or something, non-lethal impact tool? I can't really think of anything else I would want a metal handle for. It's just stylistic. They're just cool. And a lot of us like our knives because they're cool. We specifically buy knives because they're cool looking or they have a cool feature. Personally, I don't love them. If I really, really, really like the design of the knife and it happens to have a metal handle, I'll bite. I'll deal with it. But it's not my go-to. It just kind of depends. I don't hate them either. They're just not my preference. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching.